cannot handle real work, reality talk, 80+ language, simply skip the video.
I'm always very astonished by the fact that normal people still go to their work. And you know, well, for me it's such a, yeah, how you could say this, you know, such a normality that I'm doing everything from the phone. My whole life is done from the phone now. See, let me also put in something else so you understand a little bit better. You know, I started selling door to door when I was 11. You know, I had multiple offline businesses and projects. So I know, been there, done that. But now the technology is so advanced, it's mind-blowing. And it's probably still only in the little tiny children's shoes. And it goes probably way much more bananas. But what I always think, no matter how bananas it goes, to get some money in your pocket, you need to communicate a message. And how I see the internet these days and the tools like devices like phones is just upscaling the possibility of reach. That for me, I'm from the time when we imported some clothes to sell on school, at school, you know, we sold knockoff clothes at school. But the thing is, in our days, we could not get on the internet and find some kind of delivery guy or production person in China or whatever. We had to pick up a phone, dial the number. If you were lucky, the people were over there. But not only this, in my time, I went on my little bicycle to the city to buy some clothes with money that I made from cleaning bicycles, taking a gamble. And I'm not saying this like, ooh, listen to my story, very inspiring. No, who gives a furry rat's ass? I'm just gonna give you a little bit, you know, the black and white. I've been there, done that. And now when I'm in public places and I look at people and I know they're not busy with business, how do you know that? Well, you can, everybody understands. And you can see the difference. And also, if they would be busy with something, you know, we all know. But the thing is, and that's what I want to try to push into the world, because it can change. You can change that habit also in less than, you can make that decision today to build audiences. And a lot of people also don't understand the value of having an audience. People would value something more, like an offline business, getting a loan from the bank, starting some kind of tiny shop. Then they would say, oh, that is fantastic. But then you start thinking, I need clients. See, and my strategies are like this. First build the audiences that you can control, and then start monetizing. You have a couple of benefits. One of them is simply you will figure out what you really like. Start building an audience. You can start now. When you close this video, you can say, let's start 5 Facebook pages with different kind of interests that I do have at this point. And then you start making the content. See, and by creating content, you will also figure out how much you are actually really interested in that specific topic. So first of all, you will find out what you really like. And when you start hitting followers and everything for that specific audience, then you can start really maybe getting a little bit more excited and start putting in more the work, increase the amount of posts, because now you found a little bit of direction. And along the way, you will figure out what is really your direction. And 16 years ago, I started with doing things from the laptop, because 16 years ago, I lost everything. We went to Bulgaria to survive. 16 years ago, I was in a McDonald's sitting every day, and also in other places, in gas stations, just to get the free Wi-Fi, figuring it out. running into the biggest BS that you could ever come up with. Because when you start feeding your algorithm on Google, well, you run into very weird stuff, at least 16 years ago. And now 16 years later, I do everything from the phone, have the biggest level of freedom, because like I also say in multiple vlogs, previous vlogs, I can set up camp over here and I only need a big external battery and just do everything from the phone. And if you do everything from the laptop, you know, when you would be very obsessed, see, I'm obsessed. See, if you would be obsessed, then you are even creating this little tiny post for that audience before you pay, if you're in the queue of the register. Instead of now, you're probably now swiping, also when you sit in the bus, trams, or whatever, you're not quickly for 10 minutes flap up your laptop. Not everywhere. I use the laptop, and then many times I was thinking, oh, no need cable, no recharging, you have limited amount of time on the laptop, and laptop was for me always a little bit it could be done better. That was my my whole thinking about it, because I always liked to move. I don't sit in you know, public places, flap open my laptop with the vegetable on the back just to show people that I own this thing. You know, I do everything from a simple phone. It's a Samsung S23, nothing hypey, but this is what it does. It is 100 times faster than a laptop that I started out with. See, and see, a lot of people say, oh, but oh, why don't you have the latest iPhone? Because it's so fast. What my response to this is, if you can really work so fast on that phone with that kind of speed, then you and me should work together. And if you're watching this and you say, I can work on the phone with incredible speed, personally, I don't give a rat's ass what other people think when it's about the devices that I own. What do I own? A GoPro Hero 12 at the moment and a Samsung S23. So if you really think about the level of freedom, I think people who never lost freedom, they also don't understand what freedom is. So let's cut a little bit down on this. See, a lot of normal people, they need to have a car to go to their work. They need a car to drive between businesses. Been there, done that. I drove between 500 and 700 kilometers every single day between projects in Holland. I was at one point sick of it. You know, I had assets to maintain business. If you really think about this, if you also have big warehouses, that is all great turnover, blah blah blah. But I am doing everything with a GoPro Hero 12 and a Samsung S23. I can walk around butt naked if it wasn't so cold and still maintain my business. If your business, your offline business, goes up in flames and you probably didn't do any lead collection or nurturing and or already implementing cross sales, up sales, down sales, you got nothing. Of course you got a little bit of experience, but you know, I live in an Airbnb for more than 1 year. And this is not to brag, and this is also not for everybody, I understand that. But I want you to, I would like for a lot of people that they would have at least, let's say, a tiny percentage of that freedom, which would be, so for example, if you would go to school and you know that you scroll 2-3 hours a day and still have a very, let's say, shitty job next to it to earn a little bit money, or you don't do anything, then do things from your phone. Start building an audience, especially when you're young. If you would be, let's say, an 18-year-old or young guy or girl, and you start building audiences now, don't expect next month money. But if you continue building that audience when you're 20, You understand? And then the thing is, the more time you put in, the more you get excited, maybe. And when the audiences start to grow, you get more excited. At one point, you know, the audience start to maintain themselves. I do have audiences that maintain themselves. I need to work on them, but I simply don't have, let's say, it doesn't have my priority. But I will show those audiences also. You know, at one point they can maintain themselves. You know, Facebook groups, they maintain themselves. The one thing that needs to be done on the groups that I have, they need to have the moderation structure in place. But you know, it has not my priority financially, and or it has also, those are dog groups. I am interested in dogs. I had a dog in Holland, a Doberman. But my interest is not on that level that I'm willing to create so much content. But I will spend time on this and I will implement or I will create a make.com scenario for this to also to blow live again in those pages and groups. But anyway, no, but also even, let's say you're a 12-year-old, you can also do it. Audiences, building audience can be done by a 12-year-old. Now let's assume that you're a 12-year-old and your parents say, yeah, you're gonna be a lawyer or a surgeon, blah blah blah, you need to go to school and then you go to university. I don't know those trajectories, but the thing is, in the meantime, start building little sneaky some audiences on the side. And then when you're allowed to get away from school, you got big audiences ready to be monetized. Of course, it can be done way much faster, but what I was trying to say is over here that most people waste so much time. Instead of consuming, start creating and start building audiences in different kind of niches. Just giving you a piece of advice, not telling what anybody to do, but like this, you claim your freedom. You don't have to ask your master to say, can I have 2 weeks to eat a pizza in a foreign country and make pictures? No, you can do whatever the freak you want to do. I don't have to be here. I don't have to be in this country. I don't have to be, but I want to be. But anyway, besides that, think about it. Think about how much. Yesterday I talked about start listing your bad habits. And towards yourself, be very judgmental. Towards other people, never, because nobody else would actually give a rat's ass. The thing is, start judging yourself. And today, start judging yourself how much time you spend on social media, mindless scrolling, and then actually also judge your own feeling afterwards. Does it do anything good for you? Do you feel so good after laughing at somebody else or leaving a bad negative comment? Or maybe you leave a lot of positive comments and also observe that feeling. You know, does it bring you any kind of, you know, that you have a compounding effect? So when you start building for example, an audience, you build one post, bam, next day, bam, you start stacking, it's compounding, and along the way, while you build brick by brick, you start seeing angles. Right, this a little bit different picture. And now with AI you can generate so much stuff, although there are more simpler strategies. Anyway, just think about it. Judge yourself. The actions that you take now, these days, do they leave some sort of feeling of fulfillment, happiness, maybe physical growth, mental growth? Ask yourself those questions. And if you build audiences, you slowly crawl closer to this point of freedom, and you can do everything from the phone. You don't need a big desktop with a table goes up and down. My phone is on a stative in my Airbnb room, so I can walk around, just tick, or I speak also a lot to the phone. So keyboards I do have a small Bluetooth keyboard, but I usually speak to the phone. Anyway, I want to keep it like this. Just think about it. Everybody has the time, and not only the time, people do have time. People watch television, people scroll mindlessly. So people have time to develop themselves and build that assets, multiple assets. And a lot of people now who are young and jump into the crypto thing, that is all fun. You know, been there, done that. We were stepping in the great times. And also when the IPOs, or ICOs it was actually called, initial coin, I don't know, I don't remember what the O stands for. So when it's about ICOs, I think it was ICO, initial coin opportunity or whatever. And the thing is, in the past we bought Electronium for 0.001, and it was before that it went public. Also with the Bitcoin, $375 per unit. But you know what I always looking for is for coins with their own wallets, never on market, never on those marketplaces. First of all, you know, there's nothing anonymous about it. Next to that, things with their own wallet, coins with their own wallet. See, I'm not into the thing anymore, so I'm not up to date what is happening now, but I still have the offline contacts to make exchanges. Just saying. So there's a humanity thing involved that actually optimizes your, or increases also your knowledge about those coins. And not only this, there was one other coin, it's called the V-Chain, had also their own wallets. We also bought that one in a good period. Anyway, let's stop talking. Let's finish my training for the day and then move.